Okay, we're trying again. I think we're on again now. If I just lost anybody, we're back, it looks like. So I don't know why it went dead, but so sit however's comfortable. If you want to sit up on a blanket, if it feels better to sit up on a blanket for your hips, you can sit up. You can stretch your legs out, or you can sit cross-legged. You all know that. And then just be easy. Close your eyes. Let yourself shift around a little bit. If you want to rock a little bit side to side or front to back to get kind of evened out there, just lengthening up through the top of your head now. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. Letting your eyes gently closed. For a second here, as you close your eyes, imagine you're looking down towards the ground. And then just gently bring your gaze on back like you're looking forward. And then let yourself look towards your right. So again, eyes are closed, but you imagine you're looking to the right. And then come back into center and off to the left. And then release back to center. If you can imagine you're looking up now towards your forehead a little bit, do. And then go ahead and release. Let your eyes just release wherever feels good. Start to feel your breath coming in and going out through your nose. So accepting your breaths in and out. And then let your right hand come onto your belly, maybe just right around your navel, and let your left hand come up to your chest. And now start to feel the breath coming into that right hand down there on your belly, feeling the belly expand as you inhale. And then feel the breath coming into the belly and then up a little higher in towards your ribs. And then if you can come into that third part of your breath, inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, and possibly feeling the breath come up into that left hand up there on your chest. On your exhales, just imagine the breath coming out of your chest first, then your rib cage, and then your belly. So it's kind of like riding an elevator. You inhale starting at the bottom and rise up to the top. And then you just come back down out of the chest first, then the ribs, then the belly. And then we'll unfold our arms now on down beside us, letting yourself feel your shoulders release down away from your ears. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right on up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And inhaling here at center. And on the exhale, twisting to your right, bringing your left hand around, maybe towards your right knee, or maybe you want to come more to the midline with your hand. Let your right hand come around behind you. And think about your chin being about parallel to the floor here. So you find that sense of space in the back of your throat. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to come on back around through center and go all the way around. Again, it depends on you how deeply you go in your twist, where that right hand goes. Maybe you want to be to the midline. Maybe you want to come across to your knee. One more inhale. And then on the exhale, let yourself come on back around into center. Fingertips, if you're on the floor, lightly touching the ground. We'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. Shake your hands out a little bit. Circle a little bit with your hands, both directions. Wiggle your fingers around. We're going to switch the cross of our legs if we're cross-legged, and you can bring the other leg in front. You don't really need to. It's up to you. You can keep your legs stretched. And then we'll bring our hands on out beside us again and inhale the arms all the way out and up into a wide V. Draw your pinkies a little towards each other here. Feel that sense of space between your shoulders and your ears. And then as you exhale, let your hands come right to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your heart. And let's clasp our hands and squeeze our palms together here. Really squeeze. Feel your biceps engage there. And then turn your palms away from your chest and press out into the heels of your hands there. Now try not to round and roll forward here. Think about your chest being just a little forward and release there. Good. Slowly starting to rise the arms up. Now everybody's different. Your shoulders might allow you to go halfway. Your shoulders may be fine to go up higher, maybe even bringing the hands directly overhead. And then we'll lean over to our left a little bit. Reach up through the right side here, breathing into that side we're stretching. And then we'll come back to center, and we're going to go the other way. So pressing into the heel of that left hand, letting yourself open up through the left side of the body. And then we'll release and come on back into center. Think about your shoulders softening down. Now we're going to reverse to bring the hands right back down in front of the chest. So once you get there, keep pressing into the heels of the hands. And then release your hands. Let them come on a little bit behind you here. If you're in your chair, you can drape over the back of your chair with your arms. And just bring your chest a little bit forward. Open up through the front of the body here. You can look up as high as feels good. If you feel better to look forward, look forward. So one more breath here. And then we'll come on back up to sitting. Release your chin down towards your chest. Now just bow your head a little bit here. Let yourself feel the back of the neck releasing there, maybe even between your shoulder blades. And then turn your chin a little bit towards one side and then the other. End up on back at center, and then we'll rise and bring our head on back up and forward. And from here, we're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. You know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be. You can have a blanket under your knees. You can bring your hands up on the seat of a chair. If your wrists bother you to move through the spine here, you're more than welcome to be up so that you're on your fists and take that wrist crease out of your wrist. You can, if you want, even go down lower so that you're not in your hands at all. That's up to you. And then take your time. Find a neutral spine here. Look down between your hands. Be mindful there of just letting the belly just gently engage. But you're not trying to tuck the tailbone under. You're just trying to let the back naturally align itself. And now as you exhale, draw your navel towards your spine and see if you can feel the rounding up into your cat pose here, letting your head hang. And then when you inhale, send your tailbone back. Now you can come back to that neutral where you were, or you can send your tailbone back and up and let yourself move through to cow pose. It's up to you. So starting to move with your own breath. Traditionally, we exhale as we draw up into cat pose here, and inhale when we move back through into cow. But really, you can breathe the total opposite if that feels better for you, okay? So let your breath feel natural, like you're not forcing it. Just try to keep breathing, right? You don't want to hold your breath. So let yourself just ease your way through your spine. Feel that waking up of the spine there. You might even kind of imagine in your mind's eye what your spine looks like as you move through here. And then finish off the one you're on. Come back to more neutral spine there. And we're going to come into lunges, stepping our left foot forward and our right foot back. Now, you can step back just a little bit so that the heel is even still on the floor. If you're up higher with your hands, you may decide you want to come farther. Let that heel reach directly behind your foot. Just make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. so that you're safe here in the alignment of the knee. Open up through the back of that right leg back there. Engage your belly a little bit. Zip up, pubic bone to belly button. And we're going to switch legs. However you want to come to the other side, that is totally up to you. So making your way to the other side, and again, making sure that you're lined up. That front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Draw your shoulders away from your ears. Let yourself enjoy finding that length in the back of the body, the back of that left leg. Good. We're going to switch again. We're going to come back to left foot forward, right foot back. Remember, you might want your feet like you're kind of on really narrow railroad tracks. You don't want to line your feet up like you're on a tightrope, right? So you want to be really easy up into your hips here. If any of you want to bring that front left hand up, you can bring it to your hip, your thigh. You can put it behind you if you want, onto your back. Don't have to lift the hand up at all. And then we're going to switch again to bring the right foot forward, the left foot back. Again, just getting that a little bit of hips distance between the feet the wide way. Again, if you like to bring your right hand up off the block or the chair, you can. You don't need to. Good. And then we'll come on back down with our hands. We're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend. Really easily now. Take your time. Use your support however you need. You know your hands can be on the chair. You can put your forearms, if you want, elbows above your knees to support your back so that your back is lengthened. You can be up as high as you need to be. You can use the blocks too as well if you feel like putting your hands on blocks. If you can, let your head hang due, as long as it doesn't hurt your back. And feel your breaths now, coming in and going out through your nose. You might even want to nod or shake your head a little bit to find more release in your neck and your jaw. Let go through your face. Be with your breaths. Good. One more breath. We'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Look down at your feet for a second and just walk in place, almost like you're marching in place, right? So you're actually lifting one foot up at a time and getting yourself to where you get the feet parallel, about hips distance apart. So think about lining up your hip pointer bones towards the center of your feet. Bring your hands right together again in front of your chest and start to bring your gaze forward and out like you're looking at the horizon. Imagine here that your tailbone's dropping straight down. You don't want to tuck it forward. You want to think about the tailbone reaching back towards between your heels. And then just look forward as though you're looking at the horizon if you were outside in an empty, open field. You can close your eyes if you like that better. And just allow yourself to feel almost like you feel like the air around you is holding you up. A sense of really effortlessly coming into your mountain pose. Hips over ankles, shoulders over hips. Releasing our arms now on down beside us. We'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend the knees as you come forward into your standing forward bend. And you can use whatever support you like. Let your next inhale help you find a nice flat back. So you're thinking about coming into a long back, whether you need to bend your knees or not. And then we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. So press those feet away from each other now. Zip up the low belly. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Your hands can be on the chair. Your hands can be on blocks. Your hands can be on the floor if you like. Take your time. So where your hands are will determine whether your heels are on the floor in your dog and also the shape of the body, right? You're going for a long spine. Knees can be bent. Reach back through your tailbone. And on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. So as you come towards that plank, it is up to you whether you need to come down to your forearms and do a forearm plank or maybe put your knees down and do a half plank. Engage the belly. Feel your sitting bones reaching down towards your heels. And then we'll make our way back into down dog. So if you need to reposition your feet when you move between plank and dog, do. And then we're going to bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. So if you want to put your left knee down to get back into that lunge, do. And then we'll come forward back to our standing forward bend. So once you get your feet set underneath you there, if you need support, use it. Elbows above the knees. Maybe putting your hands on the blocks. Maybe putting your forearms on your chair. And some of you might instead want to just hold on to your own elbows, coming even into a little bit more weight in that forward bend there. So full deep breaths now. Focus on the breaths coming in to expand the ribs in all directions. Let your jaw go and your face be soft. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips. Bend your knees, press into your feet equally to rise up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bringing our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's unfold our arms, clasp our hands behind us here now. And for a second, bend your elbows a little more and squeeze your palms towards each other. So again, you feel your biceps, you feel it all the way up into your shoulders. And now bend your knees and start to come forward. Now, don't go any farther than parallel to the floor. You don't even have to go that far. You can let your palms release now. Just keep your fingers interlaced. Let yourself reach back through your tailbone. You have a nice long flat back there. And it is up to you whether you want to keep going and fold over your legs or not. You can if you choose to. And if you want to bring your arms or your hands off your back at all, if your shoulders let you, you're more than welcome to do that. Not necessary. You know that. So breathing wherever you can be there, wherever you like your arms to be. And then we'll release our arms on down again. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. You can put your hands on your shins. You can put them on your blocks or your chair. And we're going to step the left foot back and come into lunge. So press the feet away from each other now. Really feel that up into your hips. Find that length in the back of the body. And we're going to come on into downward facing dog pose again. So if your hands are on the chair, you're going to let yourself keep your heels on the floor and really focus on that length of the spine. If your hands are on the floor, you might be more like an upside down V with your heels hovering off the mat. And on the next inhale, we'll come out to plank. Again, nice and strong. You can bend your elbows if you want. Do a little bit of push-up. You don't have to do a full push-up. It's up to you. You don't have to do any. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring our left foot forward to come into lunge here. And again, you can put your knee down if you need. You can be any height you want with your hands. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet hips distance apart, parallel. Nice, right. Go to those full, deep, even breaths again. See if you can let your inhales and exhales feel equally important. And then we'll release our hands again, back up to our hips, bend our knees, come on up to standing, and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's inhale the hands right on up through the midline, and on the exhale, we're going to bend the knees and come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long, flat back here now. And we're going to come on into a down dog. So you put your hands the surface you like and walk back into your down dog. See if you can feel your elbows hugging towards each other a little bit. Almost like your armpits feel like they're hollowing out. And on the next inhale, we'll come on out to that plank. Now, you don't have to add a back bend. You can if you choose. You can stay in your plank or do a little push-up. Or you can let yourself come through with your pelvis, let yourself come through towards an up dog, or come down onto your forearms into a sphinx too. And then we'll come on back into down dog. Easing your way. We're going to do that same thing. Next inhale will bring us out to the plank. Again, whether you stay in plank, bend your elbows a little bit, or move through towards a back bend. Either one, any one of those. And then we'll come on back into down dog. And we're going to bring our left foot forward. Come into lunge here. And then we'll make our way back into standing forward bend. And again, it is up to you where you go here in your forward bend. If any of you want to put your hands behind, onto your calves, you can. And if you feel like you want to reach your hands to your toes and kind of give your toes a little hug, you can do that. Or you can use support and stay up higher. Full deep breaths. Find those little spaces between your breaths. And then we'll bring our hands up to our hips. We're going to bend our knees and rise on up. We're going to inhale the arms out and up. Once your arms are overhead now, lower your left arm down beside you and bend your right elbow. Let the right hand come wherever it does, right? Don't hurt your shoulder here. Elbow can come forward. It can be out more. It can be up. Some of you might want to bring your left arm up and over and hold on to that elbow. And that is not in everybody's shoulders, and we know that, so you just do what you can. And then we'll release and come on down, and we're going to go to the other side. Left arm comes on up. Bend your elbow, and again, maybe it needs to come forward or out more. Just don't do anything that hurts. If your right arm wants to come up and over and hold your elbow, do. Just be mindful. Let it feel really easy and good in your shoulders. And then we'll unfold, bring everything on down beside us. And let's inhale the arms all the way forward. Up overhead now here. Let your pinkies turn a little towards each other. And now make sure you're not locking your knees. Mountain with arms overhead, right? So make sure you're not locking. If you need to bend your knees a little bit to make sure, do. And then we'll exhale and let our hands come right down through to rest in front of our chest. Coming into mountain pose there, bringing your gaze on forward and out, whether your eyes are opened or closed. Enjoy feeling balanced between your feet. Imagine feeling very balanced from front to back as well as from side to side. Good, and we'll unfold our arms on down beside us here now. Shake out a little bit. Move through your feet. Do what feels good to you to get easy there in your ankles. And if you're using your chair, you might want to turn it around. And let's have our blocks forward, too, to the front of our mat. Yeah, I don't know. I think she wasn't feeling so great. So we're going to step our right foot back. and we're going to come into Warrior One. Front-facing warrior, it's called sometimes, because your shoulders are still square to the front of your mat. You step your right foot back, whether it's 3 feet or 4 feet or more, or 2 feet, right? Shoulders get square to the front of the mat. Left knee is bent no further forward than your ankle. And the right heel is turned just a little bit, so not directly behind your foot, but a little in towards the midline of your mat so that you have that slight turnout. But you can feel the openness across the front of your right hip here, just by coming into Warrior One here. Bring your hands to meet in front of your chest. Let your gaze be forward. Now for a second, lean forward, just a little tiny bit. So your back is long, you're lengthened. And now come on back up where you feel your shoulders over your hips. Make sure you're not leaning back behind your hips. Zip up the belly. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us, and we're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead into a wide V. Turn your pinkies towards each other. See if you can lift your gaze up a little bit. Feel that zip up, pubic bone to belly button, which protects your low back. Feel the feet equally in the floor. Warrior One. Think about your arches lifting up on both feet. One more breath. And as you exhale, lower your arms down, bring your hands behind you, interlace your fingers, and bow your head. And that might be enough. Now, some of you, especially if you're in a longer stance, might want to fold over that front leg and bow all the way over your inner thigh. Otherwise, stay up high. Just let your head bow. One more breath here. And then bring your hands on down. We're going to find lunge, releasing that right heel now directly behind our foot. So coming into your lunge, really extend out into that long body here. And then we'll bring our left hand to our left hip, and we're going to come into twist in our lunge. So drawing around, thinking of keeping your hips fairly level and twisting in the middle of your back. Now, you can keep your left hand on your hip or your back, or you can stretch the arm up if you choose. One more breath. And then as we come on back into lunge, we'll step our feet all the way forward to get them right underneath our hips. Coming into standing forward bend. And then we'll bend our knees, press into our feet, rise on up. Inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Mountain pose. Unfold your arms on down again and shake out. Move around if you need to before we do the other side. So this time it'll be the left foot that steps back. And again, have your blocks handy there if you know you like them for that lunge. And take your time. If you need to widen your stance a little bit for warrior one, do it. You can be like you're on narrow railroad tracks rather than lining your feet up, right? Trying to get that sense of when you bend the front knee and look at it, you're not going beyond your toes. You can feel an openness here in the front of your left hip. That back foot is fully grounded. Let's bring our hands to our heart, and again, just let yourself bring your gaze forward. So feel the feet equally into the floor. Arches are lifting up. Unfolding our arms on down beside us. We're going to bring them out and all the way overhead, inhaling them all the way out and up. Now this time, turn your pinkies towards each other. If you want to bend your elbows and clasp your hands together, send your pointer finger up, you can. And you can hug your elbows in a little bit towards your head, towards your face. You can look up if you choose. Just be mindful if that bothers your shoulders, keep your hands apart. Enjoy. Finding that sense of inhaling up the front of your body and exhaling down the back of your body. Good. So one more breath. And then we'll lower our arms on down behind us, clasp your hands. And again, you can just bow your head if you want. You can fold forward over your leg. You can release to where you feel like you can be. Don't push it. And then we'll bring our hands down, and we're going to reach back into that lunge here now. So letting yourself return to releasing the left heel directly behind your foot. Make sure your right knee is no farther forward than your ankle. And then we'll bring our right hand to our right hip, and we're going to turn into twist here. So again, right hand can stay on your hip if your shoulder feels better there. You can put the hand on your sacrum, palm down. Or you can reach that right arm straight up from your shoulder with the palm facing away from you there. So one more breath. And then we'll go ahead and bring our hands back down. We're going to step forward, get situated there with your feet right underneath you. Let yourself breathe. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Bring your gaze on forward. Spread your fingers a little bit. Really feel that connection between your thumbs, each of your fingers gently connecting there. Come back to your breath. Feeling your mountain pose, really that quiet strength of simply standing. And then we'll unfold our arms again on down beside us. And again, move around. Do whatever you need to do. Shake out. And this time we're going to come into warrior two. So right foot's going to step back. Again, have your stuff handy, your blocks handy, your chair if you need it there. Step your right foot back and get the right foot about parallel to the back edge of your mat. Now you can send the heel back a little farther if that feels good. Line your heels up so you feel that sense of opening in your hips that way. And then once you bend that left knee, take a peek. Make sure you're not sending it beyond your toes. And then we'll start to float our arms. Actually, keep your hands on your thighs for a second. And imagine you have balloons in your armpits that aren't blown up. And then imagine that those balloons are going to blow up slowly so that you feel your arms like they start to float on up and out from your shoulders. So there's this sense of the arms are not being held up from the tops of your shoulders. It's more that the arms, that the muscles that come wrapping underneath your arms or holding up your arms here. Turn your gaze to look out over the top of your left hand if it doesn't bother your neck. And then lower your right hand back down to your right hip. And we're going to straighten the left leg out. And reach the left hand forward a little bit and then let it come down for triangle pose. Now you may want to put it on a chair. You may want to put it on your thigh. You may want to go lower. Slide the hand down towards the seat of the chair or down onto a block. So both legs are straight. Thighs are engaging upward. Spine is elongated out over that left leg. Now you can add your top arm straight up from your shoulder if it's okay for your shoulder, or you can keep your hand down on your hip. One more breath here. And then we're going to bend the left knee, and we're going to press our feet away from each other as we come on back into Warrior Two. Really feel the feet equal in the floor. Bring the gaze out over the top of the left hand. Soften the shoulders down. Good. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to turn our feet more parallel now. So for a wide-legged forward bend, you want your feet at least as wide as your shoulders, maybe wider. And then as you come forward, if you know you don't want to put your hands on the floor, you can grab your blocks. You can put the chair in front of you. If you want to be up even higher, put your hands on the seat of a chair. And then just bend one knee at a time. Let yourself easily come from one side to the other. And if this hurts your knees, don't do it. So you're attempting to get your feet fairly parallel. Now, some of us do need to turn our toes out a little bit. That's fine. And if you're really wide in your stance, you can even turn your toes in like your little pigeon toed, which protects your hamstring attachments in this pose. And then make your way on back into center. Let yourself engage here by pressing the feet away from each other, like you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet. Inner thighs are melting their way behind you. Now you can stack blocks up and get comfortable here to get out of your hands, but keep your back long by bringing your forearms to your stacked blocks or your chair seat. Or if you're fine to go ahead and fold, you can let yourself walk your hands back towards between your feet and let yourself release there. Knees can be bent or straight. Start to watch those breaths again now and see if you can. Imagine a rubber band around your rib cage, and when you inhale, that rubber band expands in all directions. So feeling that full movement through the ribs, kind of like the feeling like an accordion, right? So inhaling, feeling the ribs expanding. And on the exhale, feeling them release back inward. One more breath. And now to come back up, try to keep your feet pretty much the same. You can get them a little closer if you need, but bring your hands to your thighs. Press yourself on up to standing. Stretch your arms straight on out from your shoulders once you get up. 5-pointed star. Let the hands rise a little bit higher than your shoulders. Feel your shoulders melt down. Lengthen up through the top of the head. Try not to tuck your tailbone forward. Really imagine that you're reaching the tailbone back like it would be between your heels or a little behind your heels if your feet were under you. One more breath. And then we'll lower our arms on down. And you can bring your feet together however you want to. And move through your feet and your ankles a little bit too if you need to from here. You can stretch out your feet however you want. We are going to come to the other side for that warrior two. So stepping that left foot back, whether your feet are 2 feet apart or 3 feet apart or 4 feet apart, it doesn't matter. What matters is the bend of this front knee. So letting yourself just line up that front knee. Take your time. Let yourself feel that bend of that front knee so that you can feel very equal now between your feet. And then again, as you let your hands come to your thighs, imagine those balloons. And then slowly starting to float the arms on up as they blow up, those balloons under your arms. Turning your gaze to look out over the top of the right hand there. Reaching out through your fingertips. Feeling the feet equally into the floor. Pressing the feet gently away from each other so you feel your hips. And then let your left hand come to your left hip. We're going to straighten the right leg out. Bring the right hand forward just a little bit and then down. So you're elongating the underside of your body. Whether your hand is on your leg or down to your chair or down to a block. Extend outward. And then you decide about this top arm. It can stay hand on the hip. You can stretch the arm up from your shoulder if you choose. Think of your thighs lifting up towards your hips, creating space in your knees, lengthening out through the top of your head. And then we'll bend the right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other, looking out over the top of that right hand. And then let's bring our hands on down. And again, we're going to turn our feet more parallel to each other and come on forward. Now, as you do, grab what you need, blocks, chair. Take your time. Let yourself really enjoy feeling the feet pressing away from each other. And then shift your hands a little to the right. So if you're shifting just a little bit with your block, you can. You can walk all the way over towards your right foot if you choose. Even drawing the torso over towards that leg. But try to keep your legs equal. So if they're bent, keep them equally bent. If they're straight, keep them both straight. And then we'll come on back through center, and we're going to go the other side. So again, once you get over to the left, ease your way as far as you want to go. Really enjoy feeling that release through the right inner thigh. Feel the outside of your left leg maybe a little more. And then we'll walk on back into center. And then from here, again, take your time. If you need support, put your elbows above your knees. Support your spine at length. Bring your hands back more towards between your feet. Now, some of you might want to turn your fingertips away, back behind you, and walk back between your legs. If that feels good, you can come there. So really feel the weight of your head. Make sure you're not clenching your jaw. Almost imagine you're relaxing your teeth. And then accept those breaths. If you can, find those little spaces between your breaths. The end of your inhale before you exhale, that little pause. And the end of your exhales before you inhale, a little space or pause. One more full deep breath. And now take your time as you start to decide you're going to rise up. Remember, we're going to come into that 5-pointed star. So get your feet how you can to bring your hands to your thighs. Bring yourself on up. Release your arms straight out from your shoulders, a little bit higher than your shoulders. Let yourself feel your shoulders melting down. And again, trying to make sure you're not tucking your tailbone forward. One more breath. And then we'll release our arms on down and bring your feet together however you want. You can jump, you can walk, move through your feet and your ankles. Take your time. And we're going to bring our mats all the way into a wall. So the short edge of your mat here at the studio will go into a wall. And take your time. Let yourself just be mindful there. And we're going to bring get our blocks in our hands. And we're going to let ourselves think of, now if you don't want to use the back wall, don't. At the studio here, we got a lot of room today. We're going to do a little half moon, all right? Let's try it this way, and then if you decide you want to put your back to the wall to do the second one, we will, okay? But first, getting your right foot back on the wall behind you if possible. Bend the knees if you need to. You got weight in your hands on the highest height of your blocks. So if your hamstrings are really tight and you know that coming into straighter legs is not going to work for you, keep your knees a little bent. You're already getting a lot right here. This is a warrior 3. But then look back at your right foot and think about letting your toes draw away from the floor so you have that foot now a little bit turned out. Again, your knees might both need to be bent. You can press a little into that foot on the wall. Some of you might even want to bring your right hand to your right hip in your half moon. That is totally up to you. If either of your hips are screaming at you, you better listen. Just let yourself come down if you need. And then we're going to bring both hands back down if one was up. Step your right foot to the floor. Bring your left foot right away, which will be a relief right there, onto the wall. Toes are facing down at first. Look at your foot. So that means you don't have your foot too high. If you can see your toes, you're okay here. And then open the toes again, a little away from the floor. You've got that angle for a half moon pose. So you can shift your weight to your right hand a little more if you want. You can bring the left hand up if you choose to. That's up to you. Press into that foot on the wall a little bit. Imagine you're drawing your foot towards the ceiling. And then when you're ready, come on down. Bring your feet under you. Come into a little bit of a forward bend, however you need. If you feel like you'd rather squat, squat. Some of you I know are fine to come all the way down in a squat. If you can, do that. Don't do it if it bothers your knees. You can keep elbows above the knees. Widen your stance out a little bit. Maybe that'll release your hips. Yeah, don't do it if it bothers your knees or your hips. Good. And then we're going to come on up. Take your time here now. Shake out a little bit. And let's try a little half moon. So, Trudy, you and Larry might want to share that wall. Because I don't think, Larry, you're going to fit on this one. You don't need your mat, just a block. So bring a block over. You two will be okay. Because all we're going to do is let ourselves put our right hand on the block, on the floor, stand on our right leg, and lean into the wall. Now, you can be right here. Maybe be happy enough right there. If you feel like you want to straighten that left leg out and feel like you're just right back supported by the wall here and lift your left arm up, you can. Flex through that left foot that's up there on the wall. Imagine the toes pointing down a little bit. Keep your hand on your hip if you need to. There you go. And then you can stay for a little bit. If it's bothering you, don't come down. And then we're going to release to come on back up. And we're just going to go to the other side. So the foot you're standing on, everybody in here was fine, is about parallel to the wall. So if you've got a wall there at home, you want the foot you're standing on to be about parallel. Same hand comes onto that block under your shoulder. And then again, you can decide, do you want to keep your top arm up? You can bend that elbow, put the hand on your hip. You can stretch the arm up from your shoulder. You can look up if you want or look down if your neck bothers you. So extending out through the spine. This is spine, hip, half moon pose. One more breath. Good. Now be easy when you come up. Let yourself take your time. Lean back into the wall a second. Walk your feet out just a little bit, maybe 18 inches to 2 feet away from the wall. You can bend the knees a little bit, or you can keep them straighter, but just let yourself release back into the wall here. Just allow yourself to release and breathe. Good. And then let's come on up. We're going to turn around to face the wall. And at first, just get yourself belly up to the wall, right? So release into the wall with the belly, the navel's coming towards the wall. Bring your hands behind you. You can leave your forehead on the wall, or you can release the forehead off the wall, keeping the belly engaged, letting yourself feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. Coming into a little back bend there. And then come on back, bring your hands right by your chest here, and step back like you're going to do a plank at the wall. So adjusting your hands straight out from your shoulders, spread your fingers wide, let your pointer fingers feel about parallel to each other. And look at your hands, make sure one's not higher than the other. There you are in a plank. You can bend your elbows, let yourself come in towards the wall like you're doing a push-up, and then release to come back out. So you can slowly move in to the wall and out from the wall. Taking your time. If you want to stay in plank, or if your wrists are really screaming at you, you can be on fists, or you can come to forearms and do a forearm plank instead. Good. So finish off the one you're on. And then reach back with your hips and come on down with your hands lower if you can, coming towards a down dog with your hands at the wall. So endeavoring to get about a 90-degree angle at your hips. Feel your elbows hug towards each other. Imagine you're pressing your feet away from each other so that you feel that sense of engagement. Inner thighs melting back. You feel your outer hips and your outside of your legs. And as the elbows hug in, you get that release in the shoulders and hollowing in your armpits. One more breath there in that down dog. Good. And then we'll walk ourselves on back towards the wall. Good. And from here, come back where we were with our feet about maybe a foot away from the wall with your heels. And now interlace your fingers back here behind yourself and start to just lean back a little bit. Now, if you can get your head all the way to the wall, it might feel really good. It supports your head. Easier on the neck, but find the hips coming forward so that you still have your hips over your ankles, and your shoulders are drawing back, opening up through the front body here. Good. One more breath. And then we'll shift our hips on back. Release here the hips to the wall for a second. Bend your knees a little bit. And we're going to come on down to the floor. And we're going to come to our bellies. So have your straps just handy so in a little bit when we need them, you'll be able to reach over and get them, all right? But we'll come on down onto our bellies on the floor and make a little pillow with your hands. If you can, rest your forehead on your hands. And if you're like, yeah, no, that does not work, then don't do it. Put your head on the floor if you'd rather. Use a blanket, doesn't matter. See if you can let yourself release in your hips, whatever your legs naturally want to do. So maybe the heels hike outward. Maybe your legs do the opposite and the heels come inward, right? So just breathe into your low back. Feel that release of the breath, expanding the low back as you inhale. Good, and then let's come on into Sphinx pose with our elbows underneath our shoulders. Let yourself spread your fingers nice and wide. Let the hands be equal. So look at your hands. Make sure you don't have one hand way out farther than the other, and you're about parallel with your forearms, elbows under your shoulders. If this is too much for your back, don't do it. You can come down, let yourself slide your elbows down more towards your waist and not go up as high at all. Or even bring the arms overhead a little more, right? But you got to find what works for you. Doesn't matter how big it is, just letting yourself find a little bit here. Good. And then we're going to release down and bring our arms down alongside our body. Turn your palms down towards the floor. And then come just to the tips of your fingers and the tips of your thumbs. So the palms are not on the floor anymore. And on your next inhale, really let yourself inhale your head, your chest, your legs a little bit up off the ground into a little locust pose. Opening still across the chest. And then we'll exhale and bring ourselves on back down. And this time, let's inhale again, but everything's going to float up. Hands too, reaching the fingertips and toes back towards the feet, really letting yourself open here through the chest. And then we'll release and come on back down again. And one more time, inhaling, coming up into that locust pose. And on the exhale, letting yourself release down. Now, if you can, bring your right hand out from your shoulder on the floor. So the palms facing down. Let yourself release here. Bring your left hand in like you're going to do a push-up. And then press into your left hand and roll a little bit onto the right side. Let your head release to the floor. If it's too much in your right shoulder, you might kind of change the angle a little bit of your arm. You might need it down a little bit. Kind of depends on you. Just opening through the right side of the chest there. And then we'll come on back down to center. Bring your right hand in like you're going to do a push-up. Stretch your left arm out beside you. Press into your right hand and roll a little bit onto your left side. It's not big. And again, if you have to adjust the angle of your left arm, do it. Good. And then we'll come on back. From here, we're going to let ourselves roll over onto our backs. So, not an easy feat. Sticky mats make it a little harder, but get yourself rolled over like a turtle on its back and get yourself centered. Bring your feet onto the floor. For a second, stretch your arms up like you're reaching towards the ceiling. Let your palms face each other. Just let the shoulders feel the weight of the arms now so that the upper arms just kind of sink back into the shoulders there. It feels so good. Release and breathe. Good. And then bring your right knee in towards your chest. You can hold behind your thigh or you can hold on your shin or below your knee. Stretch your left leg out long on the floor. Press that leg into your hands a little bit. Let yourself feel the feet flexing. And then we're going to switch. Bring our left knee in. Stretch our right leg down long. Now, those of you who are at the wall, if you're close enough and your foot touches the wall, it's awesome to press that foot into the wall. So when we switch again, if you decide, oh, I want to try that, and you're too far away, go ahead and scoot yourself down more so your left foot is in the wall when you bring your right knee in if you want. That's only if you're turned the right way. So flex through the feet. Feel that left heel on the ground. If you're in the wall, press into the wall. And then we'll switch one more time. Left knee comes in, right leg goes long. Feel the right heel on the floor. Press the right foot into the wall if you're there. Good. And then bring both knees on in the chest. Let your knees go a little side to side so that you really release now in your low back. You can go as far as you want with the knees. If it feels good to turn your head to look the opposite direction that your knees are going, you can feel almost like you're massaging the back of your head by just rolling through the back of your head as your knees move. Feels really good if you just let the weight of the head just roll from side to side. And then we'll release back, knees to center, head to center. Bring the feet on down to the floor. We'll set up for a little bridge pose here, arms down alongside you. Now, you don't even have to lift up, really. You know, if you feel like you get your feet set a little wider than mountain, but your feet are still parallel, you bend your elbows to 90 degrees, like you're a robot, palms face each other. Press into the backs of your arms. Feel your chest just rise up. That might be enough. Or maybe from there, lifting your hips up an inch. which is a lot of work actually. And if you do decide you want to go up higher with your hips, you can roll your shoulders under more if that helps you, so that you're not pressing your spine into the mat in bridge pose. You're really feeling the shoulders, backs of the shoulders, really feeling whether you want to stretch your arms long or keep the arms bent or clasp your hands underneath you, rolling your shoulders under. You will feel this pose in your quads once you get up there. You want to find length both in the front and the back of your body. So you're not attempting to, you certainly want to feel the back of the head gently coming into the ground, and you definitely don't want to feel this in your back. You don't want to have any kind of discomfort or pain in your low back. So you can come down, reposition. Sometimes how far your feet are away from you will make a difference in this pose. So be mindful. You can come up, stay a little bit, come back down. You can go up and stay up. You can grab a block if you want. Support yourself in bridge pose so that you can totally relax onto the block and let your low back simply release so that you're really allowing yourself to, in this supported pose, just let the muscles of the back release. So it's your choice. Take your time. We'll take a minute or so here, whether you stay in bridge or move up and down or lie on that block. And then when you're ready to come down, be really mindful. Take your time. Let yourself release your hips down. If you're up on that block and you're taking it out, just be careful when you come down to the ground. And bring your knees in towards your chest. You can separate the knees a little wider if that helps, or maybe even come into a little happy baby pose. If that feels too much, though, instead just bring the knees in rather than going up with the feet towards happy baby. So just be mindful. Let it feel really good. Let it feel like you'll be able to release your back, your hips. And then let yourself release your feet back to the floor and get your straps. And we're going to bring our strap onto the ball of our right foot. So take your time. Now, if it helps you, once you get the strap across the ball of your foot, the base of your big toe mound and your little toe mound, if you like to cross the strap and make an X there by your foot, you can. That's up to you. And that kind of sometimes evens the foot out, so you're not rolling to the inside of the outside of the foot. And then extend your left leg long if you haven't already. You can keep that right knee bent. You know that. The leg can be way far away from you. It's not important how close you got the leg up towards you. You just want to feel an openness for the back of your right leg. Pressing gently into the strap with the ball of the foot. And give your leg time, right? So instead of trying to forcefully pull this leg in towards you, just allow the leg to gently open up at the back. Just by being here with your breath. Feel that left foot. Flex the foot so that you feel just the heel on the ground. Toe is facing upward, so your knee faces upward too. If you need to bend that right knee every once in a while, do it. Let yourself, try not to feel like you're pulling at your sit bone. That's where your hamstring attaches. You do not want to overly pull there. There's just a nice feeling of release. Good. So one more breath here. And now get ready. Put both ends of the strap into your right hand. Let your left hand come to the top of your left hip. There's your bone there. And let the leg open to the right. It might be a few inches, or you may want to release the leg farther over. That is totally up to you. Stay grounded in the left side. Don't let the left hip pop up. Let yourself find that inner right thigh a little bit. It might only be a few inches you need to go. Press into the strap with the ball of your right foot. And then bring the leg on back up to the top. Let your left hand come over to hold the strap. Stretch your right arm out beside you and draw the leg to the left a little bit. Keep your right hip on the floor. So it's not very far. It can be really intense when it's tiny like this. And you can decide as you go whether you want to go any farther. You can start to release the leg farther and farther to the left. If you're okay to go into that twist, go for it. Or keep the right hip on the floor. You're welcome to turn to look to the right if you want to. You can turn so that you release in the end of the upper back and in your neck there. If that feels good, just turn, roll to look to the right. And then we're going to slowly come back up to the top here. And we are going to switch the feet in the strap. So whatever you need to do to bring your left foot in, right foot down. Again, if you like to make that little X, you just switch hands on the strap. You don't need to do that unless it feels good. And again, extending that right leg long. And again, you decide how far do you need that left leg to be away from you? How much do you need to bend your knee? Do it. Even if your knee is bent, you are going to open up in the back of this leg, even if the knee is bent. So press gently into the strap with the ball of the foot so you feel that engagement. Keep you from overstretching here. Again, you don't want to feel this real deep pulling at your sit bone. So just allow the weight of your arms to help the back of the leg to open up a little deeper. And be with your breath. So following the breaths all the way in, all the way out. Good. One more nice, full, deep breath. And then let your left hand get both the sides of the strap now. Right hand to your right hip, open to the left. So we're going out to the side, out to your left side. And again, it doesn't matter how far. Press into the strap with the ball of the foot, which engages you now. You can really get into your inner thigh. Heel rotates up a little bit, so you find that outward hip rotation. And then we'll slowly come back up to the top with the legs. Switch hands. Right hand comes over to get the straps. Left arm stretches out beside you. A little bit to the right. Leave your right hip down if you can at first. Really gets into the outside of that left leg and hip. And again, how far you go as you continue over to the right with that leg is up to you for a twist. It doesn't matter. It can be the 6 inches. You can turn your head if you want to look over to the left. One more breath. And now as you come on back up, use your belly a little bit to get you back up there. And then bring both feet into your strap. Let the knees bend. Let the low back release there. You can let the legs come away from you if that helps even more. And then separate your feet a little wider. You've got control. You've got the strap there, right? So you can go way, way wide where you're just barely holding the ends of your strap, or you can just go a little bit wider than your shoulders. Let yourself find where you can be. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards the ground a little bit. Nice. One more breath. If you want a little more, pull with your hands like you're drawing your strap towards your body. Send your tailbone down a little more, and that'll give you a little bit more. And then we'll bring the legs on back up. We're going to take the strap off, so just be careful. Make sure the metal end doesn't hit you in the face. And bring your knees on in towards your chest and release a little bit side to side, or circle the knees if that feels even better. Let your knees circle one direction and the other if that feels more releasing. We're going to listen to our own bodies here for another minute or so. Right? You may decide you need to stretch out. You may decide you want to do another twist here out of those deep strap twists. So if you feel like doing anything at all, it doesn't have to be a yoga pose, anything at all, let yourself do it. Take your time. You may feel like doing another bridge pose. You may decide, really, you're done. All you want to do is come into Shavasana, which is fine too. I'm going to start to get lights, and then I will head around so that as you start to settle in for Shavasana, you have anything you need. So like if you need a blanket for underneath your head, or a bolster, or if you're at home and you don't have a bolster, you can always roll a blanket up or use a pillow. A firm one is better actually to support underneath your knees. So if your back feels at all weird, try to give yourself some support underneath your knees and see if that helps. It doesn't always, but it can. You're welcome. So I'm going to walk around here at the studio and look for, I'm not sure that's in the right place, look for hands. Bolster for you. No, you want one. See if that's right. It's too close, I think. Try that one. Might be too far. There you go. Do you want a bolster? Okay. And if you don't like it, you can just take it out. Okay. You're welcome. Yeah. So just be easy. If you need to move around at all, do. If you need to release in any other way, bring your arms maybe to a little bit different place. There's no right or wrong to relax for Shavasana. It's about being comfortable, letting yourself just feel the body release down towards the ground. And then just watching your breath in and out, the wave of your breath coming in and going out. And when your mind wanders off, which it will, just see if you can softly keep returning your awareness to your breath. It gets easier and easier. And the body and the brain just naturally want to respond to that quieting of your breath. So It's like a gift having these few minutes and allowing yourself to benefit however you need from all we just did, simply by letting yourself completely and fully relax. And very easily now, start to allow your breaths to deepen, not forcing, just receiving your breaths in a little more deeply and fully. Letting those deeper breaths start to bring energy gradually back to you. When you're ready to feel your fingers and toes wiggling and moving, see if you can start with those. Start with your extremities, coming on up to hands and feet. When you're ready, your arms, your legs. Take your time. You know, if you feel better to stretch, let yourself stretch. If it's better to bring your knees in towards your chest, just take your time as you start to physically move again. Let it feel natural, easy. You know you're welcome to stay on your back, to roll onto either side. If you're comfortable to be on your side for a few breaths there and give your body a little time to adjust, you can. Take your time. Give yourself the time you need so that you don't come up too abruptly. So that when you do feel ready to rise to sit up, it feels natural. It feels like you, again, want to get your head up above your heart. You feel like you want to extend your spine upward. Feel your sitting bones drawing down. Let your eyes stay closed if you can when you rise up, or close them again when you get up. Be easy about how you sit. So if you need to stretch your legs out or grab a blanket to sit on or whatever feels good for your hips, letting yourself just enjoy being upright again. Feel the top of the head reaching upward so you have all that space in your spine. And on your next exhale, let your hands come gently to meet there in front of your chest, in front of your own heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Monday, everybody. New week.